Welcome back to the Triple Threat Podcast. My name is Ishan Sheth, and alongside me, as always, is William Ezel, and we have episode 5 of our quarterback rankings. And now we move more into the next tier of quarterbacks. We have a couple of young stars on here that have a lot of potential, and we have some older players and seasoned veterans that have playoff experience and that are capable of leading high-level teams. So before we get into the quarterbacks that we ranked today, be sure to subscribe and check out all of our content. You can watch the previous 4 episodes on whatever that you're listening to. And also be sure to check out the website, as we will be posting all of the rankings for all positions there. So now that that's out of the way, let's get into number 16, Kirk Cousins. So what are your thoughts on Kirk, Will?
Well, as you mentioned, I think this is the next step up in tier. I think all the previous quarterbacks were rather young. They were solid game managers, were just a fine overall quarterback. We're moving on to these guys that can really make a difference in the game, change the whole dynamic, and take a game over. And I think a lot of the stigma around Kirk Cousins is that he's a guy that really can't do that. But, I mean, he's proved to be a really solid quarterback these last couple of years. He's just a solid quarterback. He's 29th in on-target throw percentage, but third best in bad ball percentage. So he's not the most accurate quarterback, but he's not doing anything bad. Kirk is lethal in play action. He's 11th in attempts, but 6th in yards. So he's just really efficient when he's given the chance. So a lot of the offense is predicated off the run game like Baker Mayfield, but I think there's a big difference between those two in terms of talent, in terms of arm strength, in terms of ability to read a defense and just make a play when the play breaks down. His most explosive plays come off play action. As I said, you see those plays with Justin Jefferson over the middle on a post or on a corner route or on one of those option options he's so good at. So you'll see some of their best action on play action. I think that's just a lot of just separation. So I think a lot of the offense based on the run. Kirk hasn't had a great offensive line, 7th in pressure rate, but he's been able to distribute efficiently, which has shown he's only ranked in 15th in intended yards, but 10th on completion, so intended air yards versus intended air yards of completion. Just showing he's getting efficient passing stuff. He's efficient. He's getting the ball out to his receivers. He only has 2 receivers, and for only having 2 receivers to throw to, he's been really efficient in the offense. Because a lot of teams can just key in on those 2 guys, on Godwin, Cook, and say, all right, make someone beat us. We'll bracket your best receiver. We'll stop the run. You could have the rest of the field open. We're just going to bracket your best guys. And Kirk Cousins has been able to distribute. He's been able to be efficient. And they've had their ups and their downs for the season, but I think Kirk has shown he's a good quarterback. PFF has him at number 9. So I'm lower on him, but I just think overall has been a great season for him. So I have him at 16.
Yeah, he is pretty talented. I think he does get a lot of hate, especially for those like Monday night football and primetime football games where he's lost or choked at times. But yeah, he's been able to distribute effectively. It does help with Dalvin Cook there to kind of ease the load off of him. And Justin Jefferson has just been something else. We'll get to him when we do our receiver rankings, but you love Justin Jefferson as an LSU fan, and Thielen's been very good too. He should maybe be in the mix for a Pro Bowl type player. So I think that he's been able to distribute well, and the guys that he's passing to, or Dalvin Cook, have also performed at a very high level this season. So moving on to 15, we have a guy that a couple of years ago would never even be close to this low, Tom Brady of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How has that change from Belichick to Bruce Arians impacted his play?
He's looked really good statistically, and I guess really bad defenses. He's been thriving. He's been cooking up on the line and stuff like that. But I've got some stats I was digging into, and that's the reason I put him below. I had him at 14, and we'll get to why. I was looking at the stats, comparing him to the guy I had ahead of him right now. It's like, okay, he's not better than this guy I'm looking at. I'm looking at the stats, and he's just not better. So Tom Brady got shoehorned into Arians' system, his QB system, despite him not fitting it. You look at the strong arm guys like Jameis Winston, Andrew Luck, Carson Palmer. Tom Brady at 43 is not that guy anymore. Like, he's still got great arm strength. He's still a really talented quarterback. And he leads league in intended air yards after that Lions game. So a lot of our statistics kind of got thrown out the window. So we're talking about Drew Lock, league intended air yard and stuff like that, and Carson Wentz. But Tom Brady was just chucking the ball on the field, not push him up. But he has 1.9 yards less intended air yard on completion, so from 1.8 to 7. So He's just really inefficient on those deep balls. He's fourth and on target and leads the league in bad balls. So he's just he's missing the mark on a lot of throws. And I think that's just because he's trying to push down the field. And with these great receivers, he should be able to, but it just hasn't worked because the system isn't built for Tom Brady. And this is what I really see is this schematic fit has been really exploited by the best defenses. So he's played 4 top 5 defenses in my opinion: Saints twice, Rams, and Chicago. Because I don't think anyone else they play has really been up there. Maybe Denver, but Denver hasn't been a top 5 defense this season. So those are the good defenses they're played, and they're 0-4 in those games. He hasn't had a single game above. In those 4 games, his pass rating has not been above 80. He's had a game of 40 and 60 passer rating wise. He's had 9 turnovers and 5 touchdowns. So he has just been exploited in these good defenses, just keying in on the tendencies that Bruce Arians like to dial up. And Tom Brady hasn't had the freedom or ability to create and just be a brilliant quarterback like we've seen him be able to. I just think that the fit has really limited him. And I think that he's just been exploited by the good teams. And you look at his stats, like PFF has him as like quarterback 4 or 5. I'm like, those are inflated numbers because you look at him and you say, all right, who are you getting those stats against? A perfect pass rating against the Lions? Yeah, congratulations. You did it against the Lions with no coach on the field. Like, it really comes down to when you're playing. Like, the goal for the team was Super Bowl or bust. And when you're 0-4 in top 5 defenses, and you're going to see teams like New Orleans, Chicago, the Rams, and some other decent defenses in the playoffs, it's going to be really, really hard for them.
Will?
Ishna, what do you think of me having got 15? Is that a little bit hard for someone who has such great statistics for this season?
I think that it is a little harsh, but as you said, being able to play good defenses is so important, especially come playoff time, because as you said, you'll be seeing New Orleans, you could be seeing the Rams, and those have both been elite defenses. And given the weapons that he's had, it's very helpful. Now, do you see this team making it out of the wild card round?
As of right now, they'd be playing, I believe, the football team, right? So I think they could beat that team. I mean, that is a top 5 defense. So I'd like to see what Ron Rivera can dial up. I think that it'd be a good match. But the secondary, well, I think the strength of that defense is pass rush. And Tom Brady has the ability to get it out quickly. He hasn't been because of Arians' system. If Arians is going to be like, we're going to throw deep against the football team, I could see them having some offensive struggles, but still winning the game. I just think it's going to be really hard for them if they don't adjust to Tom Brady's strengths and adjust to their opponents. Because if they don't do that, they could be in some serious trouble. If they play the Saints third, like I wouldn't want to play them a third time, but I think that the Saints still have a schematic advantage. But it's hard to be a team 3 times in one season. So I think they have the ability to. Their offense can be explosive. Their defense can be great. Their O-line's great. They got great receivers. They have good running backs. Like they have it all. They should be doing a lot better than what they are. I think there's just a lot of struggles that I see. Like they should have lost that Falcons game, and then you're like, oh, they were so good, they came back. Like whatever, they came back against the Falcons. Congrats.
Thanks. And then the other question that I had, it's not really about Brady, but I think coming into the season, a lot of people had Chris Godwin improving a little bit just because of Brady and him being able to thrive in the short and intermediate game compared to Mike Evans. Do you think that Godwin has been a bit of a disappointment this season?
Yeah, he has been. I mean, you can look at the injury for one reason why, and maybe he's getting back into form, but he should be able, like, if you're looking at what Brady is good at, Chris Godwin should have been a top 5 receiver this season because he fits that system perfectly of what Brady wants to do with Brady in New England. But Brady, in Arians' system, it's air the ball out. Chris Godwin's also a really good deep ball receiver. But Mike Evans has seen the primary target share. Tom Brady seems to have more trust with him. They've been able to play together. I think it's just a combination of injuries and scheme, and you're seeing a little bit of a regression when it comes to Chris Godwin.
Yeah. And then also we have to remember Brady is 43 now, and he's not LeBron. There have been some signs of slowing down a little bit. So moving on to his division foe and the guy that he humiliated kind of last week, Matt Ryan. He actually leads the NFC in passing yards, and statistically, he's been very good. And we've been able to have some pretty big first half leads, and he is very explosive in the first half, but things start to fall apart in the second half. But why did you have Matt Ryan over Tom Brady, besides just purely the stats?
Yeah, so you can give me more about the eye test because I don't watch 14 Falcons games a year. I usually put on 4 games at a time. Like right now, I'm watching Bengals, Texans, Red Zone, Colts, Steelers, and then I don't know why I'm watching Chicago, Jacksonville. But usually I'll have those 4 games on, or if the Saints are, I'll just watch the Saints purely. So I haven't been able to watch the Falcons or the Bucks in depth, and I guess maybe that's a bit of a perception bias. But statistically, Matt Ryan's been great all year. He leads the league in intended air yard per completion by a considerable margin. So he's the best passer deep of anyone. Like he's getting the ball out and his receivers are catching it, despite Julio being out for a good portion of the season. His accuracy has never been as strong, so he ranks 25th and on target. But what's surprising, he's 4th in play action attempts and yards despite a poor run game. So he's been able to be efficient, been able to get the ball out quickly, and just seeing that Brady, both of them like to air it out, and the fact that he has point a half a yard more in intended air yards per completion. He's just been statistically a better quarterback, and I think that it might be a little bit harsh to put him over him. But I was just looking at the stats, and then you see that Tom Brady can't do it against good defenses. Tell me a little more about the eye test because statistically, Matt Ryan is better. But do you see that the same way I do?
Yeah, I think so. A lot of our team success has fallen on the defense. And while Matt Ryan has had some very poor moments, there have been some aspects of his game, in my opinion, that have actually improved his ability to not just collapse under the pressure in the pocket, and his ability and his confidence to actually run a couple times and scramble out of the pocket has helped a lot. He looks a little bit more elusive, which is very shocking given his age. And I think he's done a great job of distributing the ball and helping Calvin Ridley ascend to, in my opinion, a Pro Bowl caliber receiver, especially with Julio Jones out for the majority of the season.
I mean, he has the most completed air yards in the league, and he's not getting a lot of yards after the catch kind of stuff. That could be a little bit more about placement and stuff, but he's still in the ball deep. He's completing it. He's working without Julio Jones. I think he's just been really impressive statistically. I know that hasn't come with team success, but they've been able to surprise some teams. Like right now, they're in it with the Chiefs. Like they've been playing hard. They could have a lot more wins. I think they have 4 games where they've blown a lead of like 95% this season. So they could
Yeah.
easily be a good team, and I wouldn't blame Matt Ryan entirely for that fault. I don't want to put Solomon Williams too much there, but I mean, I don't think Matt Ryan's the problem right now.
Yeah. I think as the quarterback and as the guy who is become effectively the face of the franchise for the last 10 years, that's going to hurt a lot because he will be that primary scapegoat. But as I said earlier, a lot of it rests on the defense. There have just been times where the defense hasn't been able to perform up to par. We had the Detroit game, we had the Chargers game, the Bears game, the Cowboys game, and the Tampa Bay game. So we'd be at 9 wins if we won all 5 of those. And let's just say we won 3, would have been a better team. But I think Matt Ryan is still a pretty good quarterback. And if we do end up moving on from him, which our president has said the new GM might do, I think a team like, San Fran could benefit. It would be hard to absorb his contract because that's just gonna be hard to move in general. But pair him and Shanahan again, and he will be certainly an upgrade over Garoppolo and Mullins.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But let's move on to number 13, and this is going to be surprising. I have Justin Herbert. Statistically, he shouldn't be this high, but from the eye test, he has been outstanding. He's having a historic rookie season. The advanced metrics would have him more at like the 18 range, but I think that he has been let down by his team and by his coaching. And I've never seen a year-to-year improvement as big as what Justin Herbert has had this season. He's addressed a lot of my concerns, and you can watch my concerns. I have a whole film analysis of it. I watched all of the Justin Herbert film from college, and he has changed his quarterback style a lot. He is 5th in aggressive passing. And if you look at all the other aggressive quote unquote quarterbacks, the Wentz's, like they are not playing well. And Justin Herbert has only 10 interceptions. Like he's playing extremely well. He's playing composed. In college, he was a really tentative passer. And in NFL, he is decisive and he is just playing incredible football. What I see is just he has really become composed. He simply looks like a composed, accomplished NFL quarterback. He's having a great rookie year. He's cleaned up a lot of his college mistakes. The fact that he's improved this much from college to the NFL is just astounding to me. And he's just been really, really good. He looks good against the blitz, the fourth highest pressure rate in the league, but his pocket presence needs some work. He's taking a lot of hits. I think he has the most um, hits of any quarterback. I think he just needs to be using his legs more to extend the play and just be a little bit more special that way. Kind of get out of the pocket, extend the play, work his receivers open. But he's working with like Jalen Guyton and a bunch of no-name receivers, Johnson. Mike Williams has been hurt, but Keenan Allen, just a bunch of random guys. Like he's been working with really receivers. He's been throwing dimes. His arm strength looks incredible. It looks like his placement's gotten a lot better. He just has the confidence, the swagger. He's just been really impressive, in my opinion. PFF has him at number 18, but I think he looks like a top quarterback. He looks like someone that's legit and can carry. Like he looks like a Matt Stafford throwing the ball. Like he just looks really impressive. So I kind of threw out the statistic with this one. I think it's a little bit surprising. I think I have 33 on my big board. I have him at 13 total quarterbacks. So eye test, he looks great. He's athletic. He's big. He's a great passer. He can run. I think if you open the offense up, give him some I'm not the biggest RPO fan, but he can execute some good RPO stuff we saw in college, especially in the red zone. Really efficient on RPOs. That was his best weapon in the red zone, was the RPO. Get him a coach, create a play caller. Like an Eric Bieniemy would be awesome for this team. I don't think they're hiring.
I was just thinking of that.
I don't think it'll happen, but I think that would be a really good hiring. There's a lot of good offensive guys in the league that would love to come work with Justin Herbert. This is an exciting coaching job. Please don't keep someone like Anthony Lynn. I used to think Anthony Lynn was a top coach, but after this season, I cannot think that. Like he has been dreadful.
Mm-hmm. I think especially for a rookie quarterback, coaching makes such an impact, and I think it's just crazy. Just as a quarterback, the transition from college to the NFL is already insane. And if you just look at his college production, as you said, and compare it to his NFL production, he just looks like a more refined player, passing the ball instead of just merely throwing it and relying on his athleticism. So I think that they got to get Lynn out of there and give them a good offensive-minded coach that will really help his development. And then, supplement him with some nice weapons. I am kind of a fan of Kyle Pitts, so that could be kind of interesting.
Yeah, get some good 12 personnel stuff like that. Pitts and Henry. I think Henry's in the franchise tag. He might be gone at the end of the year. But Pitts would be an awesome guy in that system. I think first you have to build offensive line because that's the main thing. But I think he was number 2 in screen yards in college. So he relied a lot on dink and dunk kind of stuff. His placement wasn't great on those screens. I just think he just looks composed. He looks confident. I think he's just found his stride as a passer. And he's got the arm strength. He's got the ability to be a great quarterback. I just didn't see it on his college film. But he's showing it now, and I'm happy to admit I was dead wrong on him. He looks great.
So that concludes our 5th episode. Now that we've moved into the top half of the quarterback hierarchy, we have some more interesting names coming up, some more young talent, and some former MVPs and former MVP snubs coming up. So just to conclude, we had Kirk Cousins, Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, and Justin Herbert. Remember to subscribe, check out all the content from the podcast and the website. Have a great day and happy holidays.